Guys, I've got a spicy one for you today. We'll talk about the dream that I had last night, and then talk about all the thoughts that have been going through my head. And instead of letting them roll in circles and circles over and over again, let's talk about it, right? So, last night's dream was intense. It was very intense, and it repeated twice. When I woke up, it reset the dream. Because a lot of people died. So I don't know if it fixed the issue, or I don't know exactly what happened for it to repeat, but it did repeat. So I'll start off at the beginning. So me and a whole bunch of people were in this. My family wasn't there. Me and a whole bunch of people were in, it looked like Las Vegas of some kind. It was very deserty. It was dry. It was unhospitable. Hospitable, I think is the right word. Where maybe not. I don't know. Basically, you could not live there in a normal cases. It was very Mad Max feeling. Okay. But I didn't know why I was there originally, and me and this group of people were walking across the desert. Okay. Walking, and we were walking through this destroyed version of Vegas, I'm assuming. And we, I already know where I'm going. And it just didn't seem like anything was happening, right? It was just this repetitive, it's over and over and over again. Anyway, we found this moving fortress that kind of resembled an ark, right? Like Noah's Ark of some kind. And off in the distance, the dream kind of sped up. Over days went by, it was like that. The dream sped up, and then next thing you know, we looked to our left, and there were people. And I got this top-down view of us here, and then way off miles into the distance, I can see people running and running. And at that point, I told them, I told everybody that was with me, I said, we're like, we need to go now, right? And then we all hopped in the ark, or of whatever kind it was, and we got into it, and we started moving, very slow pace, moving away from all the people that were running and screaming and in terror and pain. And behind them, it kind of zoomed in behind the people, why they were running. For some reason, this group of people that I was with, we listened to whatever it was that told us to run and to head to this location. And these other people, they didn't believe, and they didn't have faith in whatever it is that told us to run to this location, right? And we got in, and first it was like out of instinct, we knew we needed to get into this thing and just get it moving. It was a very slow pace. We weren't even going maybe 10 miles an hour, maybe, 15 miles an hour, maybe, going across this desert wasteland. And as it was moving, the storm was picking up behind them, and it looked like a sandstorm was picking up behind them. But within the sandstorm, there were a form of like demonic locust swarms that were consuming people as they went through, and some people were turning, and some people were just being eaten alive. And then there was also these demon-looking things that were within this storm that was pushing through and eating people and changing people. Eventually, they ended up catching up to us, these people that were in just sheer terror. At this point, it was the more athletic people that were left. And they jumped on, and they kept trying to get into the windows and of these very thin strips. They tried to get in, and this one girl I remember, right? There were all these different cabinets within this ark, and then the one that I was supposed to get into was a secret cabinet of some kind, and it had like, we moved the rug out of the way or whatever it was and lifted it up, and I hopped into it, and I could see within this cabinet, and it looked like it should be it looked like kind of like a potty opening, but it wasn't. It was slightly bigger, and me and this boy and these few girls got into it. And while we were in there, this other girl tried to climb through the window and hold on for dear life, because when she was under this bearing, right, under this bearing, the locusts for some reason weren't able to get to her. The swarm and the demons, right? Even though she was still sticking out in the open, there was a slight bearing over top of it, and she was fine. And you could tell that she was exhausted and just utterly defeated, right? And we could see the swarm like flow by her, and she's like, "Please help me, please help me." And I remember holding onto her arms and latching onto her, but eventually she like started rolling her eyes back and she fell. And then the rain, and then this like acidic rain, after we were somewhat out of the desert area for some reason, and it was raining, and it was this acidic rain that was falling on, and it was melting her and is killing her, along with the locust swarm eating her, which was weird and I was just awestruck. I wasn't in shock. It was just like, this is what happens when you don't listen, or you don't listen, or you don't have the strength to move on, the will to move on, right? You give up, right? These people who've given up on life. And we kept moving and moving, and then for some reason there was like a breach, in this thing that we were in, and the thing swarmed us of some kind, and I woke up, right? At this point it was like 5:30 in the morning, again, maybe 6:30. Anyway, that happened. And then I closed my eyes for a sec, drifted off, and then everything that originally happened was sped up, right? And it was, and then I got back to the point that I was at, and I was holding on to that girl, except the environment changed a little bit behind her, and she didn't make it again. I'm actually, I'm pretty sure the first one she got eaten while we were in the desert. The second one she got rained on by the acidic rain or some kind or whatever, right? Like, it just tore through her. Now, that boy and the two girls, they weren't little. They were around, one was maybe a teenager. The boy was maybe 12 or 13. He had this golden blonde hair with and he had just like this innate want to do something more, right? Like, he was meant for something greater, right? And I was his guide. And during that, we ended up getting to our first crossroads while we were traveling. It felt like I drifted off within the dream when I woke up. Within the dream, we were at our next crossroad, and I got a top-down view of it, and our giant, it's kind of like a scrapper look. It kind of looked like a scrapper looking thing from Star Wars, similar to that, except on like tank treads going up this mountainside. And there was this fortress to our left, and this big gate, and this demonic clown face shifting thing came out, and we were up on top of the roof of this thing at this point, and he came out with these big long arms and these big grabbing appendages, and he said, I have gained this form from destroying one of the first ones, or the first creators, or by destroying and consuming one of their kind. And my people have also gained the forms of those who they have slain and consumed. And they were people, but they were people destroyed and broken and stitched together and put together, right? And one of them challenged me, and they were gonna, and this creature was gonna let us pass, because at this point he was, from in his eyes, an ascended being. controlling this fort full of these demonic people and children as well, who have consumed those who they have defeated. I don't know if the children have actually consumed these things because they defeated them, or consumed them because their people and parents and whatever have told them to eat these things. But this kid, he came to me, and he was oddly innocent, still, childlike, and he looked at me, and he pulled out this kit, and he said, this is everything that I've created. He said, you're happy to use them of some kind. I don't remember exact words. He's like, happy to use these things or one of them for your quest to defeat the thing that wishes to fight you, right? And he gladly gave me a weapon of choice, right? Me and the kid with the golden hair, right? The one that I was supposed to guide. And the kid was hesitant, right, when he took his weapon, and which was just a thin blade scissor, like a scissor grip with a thin blade on it, like a scalpel kind of. Very sharp tool that this child made, this very destroyed kid with this black stringy hair that came down and the one eye that was black as well. And he still smiled like a kid, but it was innocently, not demonically. It's just that he consumed the flesh of this demon that he was given, right? Very obviously by the people. And he gave him his, and then he said, here's your weapon. And my weapon was a combination of his and scissors, right? So the blade part itself has a scissor grip on it, right, where I could cut through meat of any kind, or I could grab one of them and flip it up and catch it again, and it was a bigger version of the kid's, right? So I told the kid with the golden hair, I said, this is basically, I will help you destroy this thing so we can continue on our quest, right? I continue through this gate, because that was our part of what we had to do for our people on this ark thing, right? One of the last of our people. And we were fighting it, and we took out a chunk of it, and he's laughing at us, and taunting us and talking to us, saying, is this the best you have? And he had a big cleaver, right? A one-handed cleaver that he was cleaving at me and the boy, and the boy was jumping around, and I grabbed my thing, and I slashed him, and I yelled at the boy, I said, finish him, you have to do this. And the thing went over and wrapped a chain around his throat and tied himself up, and this other demonic creature crawled down, sewed him up, and sewed him up, and he came back at us, right? And he undid the chain around his neck, fell down, and came back at us again. And then at that point, I was like, so he can repair himself or come back. And I said, all right, so I ran, I jumped off of this piece of furniture. I very vividly remember this. No blood came out of it. But I slashed from here, slashed waves all the way down after I jumped over his blade. And then the boy came in, and as he got behind him and was going to, execute this thing, I woke up from my dream. But whoa, it was a very extreme, intensely detailed dream, and I've been having them more recently. And man, I'm gonna have to keep talking to you guys about these, because they're getting to the point where when you wake up and it's hard to distinguish between the real life and the reality that you have been put into, that it's very wild, right? It's like I just experienced something that you could literally only dream of, right? Or you could see in movies or video games or whatever it is. And these dreams are getting very detailed recently, just like the last one that I should have talked to you guys about, but I didn't. And and I forget what it was, but maybe Janelle can remind me. Cause I told her while we were in the car on Sunday, going to go get food for all the the house and everything. But yeah, I'll tell you guys one more thing too, before we get into whatever the next thing is that I need to get into, because I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna put one of the Bose headphones on and really just dive deep in. I've got to do a lot of quotes. But yeah, it was just so weird. Oddly detailed too. But anyway, you know what? We're just gonna end it there because I've got to spit and just kind of get my mind straight for getting into doing all these quotes. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'm not streaming for the rest of the week. Maybe Friday I'll be streaming. Me and my cousin may be streaming and playing games or something like that, which would be really cool. But other than that, that's where we're at, guys. Have a good rest of your day, your night, whatever it may be. If it's your night, I hope you can sleep. And for those of you who have wild dreams, talk about it. Wild out, guys. There's nothing wrong with talking about those things, and just kind of getting it out and seeing what the heck's going on in your brain. You feel me? So check me out on SinFizzy. That's SinFizzy, which is my main tag for my other gaming channel. And we're just gonna go from there. All right. Peace out, guys.